There's a brand new way to harmonize stuff, but is it any good?
With a few G's, Lauren Hill.
So yeah, that is right. There's finally been some kind of advancement using some clever tech from the guys at Waves. Now, I want to take 100% full credit for the innovation of this plugin because about 3 years ago, I made this video using the Waves doubler to show how we can do this harmonizing effect. I've not acknowledged this in any way, but I think I should take full credit. So let's have a look at the plugin itself. So I've just got this whip loaded here. That's work in progress. It's not a car. This little chunk just here.
You called me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me a sign something's missing on.
Now I've muted all the other backing vocals and I'm using the Waves harmonizer on there to try and simulate like a nice wide spread. I think it sounded alright. I haven't fully dialed it in yet. I'm still getting used to this. So essentially it actually sounds like this.
You called me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me a sign that something's missing on.
Perfectly nice, but I'm just trying to create that kind of spread and feeling of surround with a bit of movement. So we've actually got 6, technically 7 generations of the voice then going on top of it.
You called me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me a sign that something's missing on. You called me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me a sign that something's missing on. You called me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me a sign that something's missing on.
If you do want to download this plugin, there'll be a link below that takes an extra 10% off. Now, something that happens when you do doubling or use a doubler to do this kind of effect, you can only really sort of add 2 things in. It can be quite difficult to then not have them phase. If you want to learn more about that, I'll link the old video down below. Really useful technique either way. This has done a pretty damn good job of making sure that doesn't happen. Let's just solo this part out.
You called me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me a sign that something's missing on.
There's a couple of little wobbles in there. Like I say, it needs a little bit more dialing in, and there's been no editing happen to this vocal yet either. What we can do is we grab the source up here, we can listen to just what it's adding.
You called me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me a sign that something's missing on.
Now we can hear it's a little bit wobbly and all over the place, but when the actual original natural vocals in there, it works really quite well. I have to dial it back a little bit for the gain.
You called me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me a sign that something's missing on.
Alright, let's have a look at how we would use it and set it up and how the GUI works, shall we? So I've got another instance on here. Let's switch that instance on. Alright, so on this one, I've just made 2 copies and got a central one going as well.
You called me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me a sign that something's missing on.
Alright, that's cool. Let's reset it to start. Let's do full reset. Right here in the top left hand corner is something I've not shown off yet, and it's the generate notes. What this does is it basically intelligently listens to the audio and generates relevant notes for it, and you don't have to do any work whatsoever. So let's hit generate notes, play it back.
You called me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me a sign that something's missing on.
So once you've enabled that, you can then tweak it and adjust it to how you need it to be by having the notes down here selected. All the controls here are then relevant to what's happening with that selected part. And we'll explore it a little bit more in just a minute. Now across the top section here, we've got our key. The reason we've got our key is because we can effectively add some auto tuning to the natural vocal. It also allows the harmonies to know where they should be, right? In terms of a key relationship. Now, as you can see, mine says A minor, and there's a little lock just here, and I've locked that, so if I change anything it always stays locked, and the reason is this track is in A minor. I want it to always be in the correct key. You can of course disable the note mapper entirely just here and just have the whole thing off and use just some of the other features that are built in if you want to. It's nice to have the option. Now over here a little bit further on the right hand side, we've got correct natural. What on earth does that mean? What it's basically saying is this is the automated auto tune, right? If we click it, we go hard or natural or notes or off, okay? And that's taking the original source and it's what kind of correction is it doing to it. You don't get all of the detail, in-depth playing around that you would have with an auto tune, but it's there and it does the effect you need. Now, if you want, you can have it off, put a picture beforehand and auto tune it as it comes in. depends on what you need. It's there to make life a little bit easier, and it does a pretty damn good job, to be fair. Even on natural for this vocal, maybe if you want to go more the T-Pain flavor, stick it on hard, you know. Source is then basically the gain of the original sound that's coming in, so the naked vocal. All right, so by default it's in at 0. Now I found when we bring harmony in, and harmony is all of the generated ones and their gain level, you need to dial the source back because you're gonna probably run out of headroom once you're adding all these things together. It's like sending loads of vocals to a bus, you know, that bus then becomes overwhelmed. You need to have everything gain stage and dialed back, and that's why those controls are here. We've then got out, which are just our overall gain, and some nice metering that shows us if we're clipping on the way. Now under the note mapper, we've got this little bit that says chords, can be switched on or off, and then like medium spread. If we click on it, there's a whole bunch of presets. They're basically chord presets, so we can have set chords be triggered to make harmony. Let me show you what we mean. Let's say we want augmented in there, and we're going to do generate tones, and now
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking.
It'll generate based on that augmented. We could take it as a harmony and do 1 3 5.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking. Now you're
Just makes things really, really quick and easy to work in. Now, this then limits what's available on the keyboard here, but the edit icon means we can choose what's available where they pitch to. So if we specifically don't want to trigger a note, we can make sure that note passes off to the next one or is not triggerable. So we've got notes in, selected note, triggered notes, or assigned notes. And you see the little arrows just here. That's just saying if we were to trigger, say, C sharp here, it's going to slide off to the nearest tone, which is just going to be down here onto the C. So we can set those chords and have them be generated very quickly, but we can also go in and very detailed decide what notes move to where in terms of the harmony relationship. And just below the generate notes, we've basically got our sort of tolerances, you know, the minimal note it can go to, the timing and pitch structure, all the really tiny little finicky details that you might need to tweak, potentially not. You know, they're all just squeezed in there if you need them. Other side of the keyboard, got a little bit that says global. If we click it, we get some extra options. This gives us like our glide and slide, much like you get in a synth, our overall pitch and formant and spread. Really useful tools to have quick access to. You're not generally going to need them all the time. You click global and they're there and available to you. Get them out of the way for the majority of it. Okay, so over here, we looked at this already on the left-hand side. Whatever you've got selected in here, it's going to affect these notes. So we turned the chord on and put 1 3 5 on. So it's given us F2, A2 and C3, which are going to be the 1 3 5 from our A minor. We can now select those notes. Now because these are chord generated, we can't select these and modify them, but we can modify the whole notes amount. So for example, we can take the levels down.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking. Now you're giving me a sign that I'm dismissing.
And they'll all respond in hand.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking. Now you're giving me a sign that I'm dismissing. You caught me at a time I wasn't looking.
And you can globally control the pitch of them as well. Seems odd, right? But we can do it. So we could bump them all down an octave, for example.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking. Now you're giving me a sign that I'm dismissing.
It can be a fun effect, especially when we get formant involved. You can make that quite dark and vibey, right?
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking.
Just hold Option and click to reset everything. Now we can delay the timing that they come in as well.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking.
Get it a bit more rounded. And something really interesting is we can feedback them. This can lead to some gnarly results.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking.
Let's say we want to add some in individually. We can simply choose this grid here. Now, this grid may look familiar to you. It might look unusual to you. If you use any kind of polar referencing, if you use something where you're going to be checking your phase correlation in your mix, it's going to look about the same. It's basically our panning arc and then our level. So left to right and then overall level. So if we were to do this right here, this would be only in the center. And we'll take the source down so we can only hear the harmonies.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking. You're giving me a sign.
And it's really, really quiet. Bring it up.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking. Now you're giving me a sign that I'm dismissing.
And we can just click
You
to
caught
create
me
more
at
here.
a time I wasn't looking. Now you're giving me a sign that I'm dismissing.
Now, as you can see, we've got all of these, and we can click these individually and change their parameters individually. So for example, let's say on our right hand side we're going to go up in formant, and on the left hand side we'll go down in formant. This will probably sound terrible, I just want to show an example.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me assignments, I'm just missing out.
So that's how you would place sounds in the stereo field. And then we've got our pitch option, so we can pitch them up as we see fit. So this is now going to go +6, and we can select this and bring it down -12. Again, going to sound awful.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me assignments, I'm just missing out.
Let's combine that with generate notes.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me assignments, I'm just missing out.
So that's our basic navigation. Now we can take this one step further and automate and move these around. So let's remove these two. We can have anyone selected and just cross it off, it will disappear. So now let's just have our central one created. Remember, the source is switched off now, we're only listening to the harmony, so the generated one via Waves Harmony. If we go to M1 here, it extends our GUI and we've got an LFO. Or a sequence if we desire. We'll stick with an LFO for now. Sync on, and let's sync it to 1/4 quite quickly. And what we'll do, we'll just make this move from left to right really quickly. The way that we do it is pretty simple. We can take M1, we can drag that over to the pan, and then pan has M1 just next to it here. One thing I'd like to feedback Waves is purple on purple, not ideal to read. Why not make it turquoise, white, anything else but purple on purple, right? So if we then push this up, we've now got our bipolar panning occurring, and when we trigger it,
you caught me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me assignments, I'm just missing out.
and we create that effect.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking on.
Now we can go crazy and put M2, and we could link that to pitch, and we could put pitch so it goes an octave each way.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me assignments, I'm just missing out. You caught me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me assignments, I'm just missing out.
Okay, we can adjust our wave by actually just drawing it in if we like, and being ridiculous.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me assignments, I'm just missing out. You caught me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me assignments, I'm just missing out.
Alright, so now we get how to use it. What have I done on my preset that I've been working on? We've gone from the 6V spread preset, obviously then linked into my particular key for this track. And the only thing I've really tweaked is I've changed these left and right so they modulate ever so slightly in level. Because I found that that was just giving a much greater feeling of a width change, as it was just moving ever so slightly up and down. Now you're fully aware of how it's working and how I've balanced everything, let's see if you can really hear that in context.
You caught me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me assignments, I'm just missing out. You caught me at a time I wasn't looking on. Now you're giving me assignments, I'm just missing out.
Hopefully now you understand how the plugin works and is constructed, you get an idea of exactly what's going on. Overall, really nice harmony plugin, and it will very much usurp what I've been doing with Doubler for years at this point. If you want to learn those techniques though, absolutely, the video's linked below, check that out, it's a great option, but this usurps in the phasing issues are much more refined. The fact that I can manipulate the source and harmony separately, it's just much easier to work in. And then the modulation effect just lets us take that a whole step further. We're going to be in for some beautiful vocals. I hope the video has been helpful for you guys, and I do look forward to seeing you in future videos, so please do hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about vocal processing, check out this video next, as I'll go through some more things that might be useful to you in there. I'll see you in that one. Take care.